In this video, we're talking about telling your event story. And when you want to tell your event story online, you need to think about content. And content can be very time consuming to create, so it's good to plan it out in advance. So this video is talking about planning that content before you actually create it. This is the second video in a 4-part video series about getting you digital ready for Tasty Island. In the first video, we talked about creating an event. Now we're talking about the type of content you should create. Then we'll talk about bringing your event to life through social, as in creating all that content that's relevant for social media. And then we'll talk about getting your message out there, so distributing all that content through social media channels, but some of that may end up in your website or through emails when you're sending out to your list. So where can you tell your story? There's many different places online to tell your story. Here's the 3 main ones you'll probably use. Your website. You may have a dedicated event page. You may have something on your home page, which we'd highly recommend to promote the event. And you may have some articles on your site, which could be blog content. Or for email marketing, you might have an existing email list that you've gathered together over the years that could be relevant to the event. So you may want to communicate with that list. And from social media, of course, that's a great place to promote an event. It could be an existing audience you have across Facebook or Twitter or other channels, or a new audience where you're running advertisements, maybe targeting the local community through Facebook ads, for example. Now, when you do get around to creating content, think about including Tasty Island branding on a range of content. And there is branding guidelines. In our workbook, we provided a link to the branding guidelines just to make sure you're including the right look and the right text. And it's very useful to have this to promote any of your events. On your homepage, think about the content on your homepage. It's probably just some text content which promotes the event and the Tasty Island logo, because that's going to be very recognizable. So when people see that, their eyes may be drawn towards it. So it's useful to consider that on the homepage. Here's an example of the Riverside Hotel promoting Tasty Island on their website. And as you can see, they've included the Tasty Island logo. Featuring the logo will add credibility to your event. So make sure to add it to your homepage, linking to your event. And also make sure to add it to your event page. When you want to create articles about your event, you could use your blog if you have one on your site. The blog is just a place to create, update, and publish your articles. So what type of articles could you write? You could write an article about all the events happening in your area, and of course you can include your event. You could write about influential people that will be at your event. For example, profile the chefs that are appearing at the event. You could share what's going to be happening at the event. If you create any blog articles, make sure to share them out to your audience and always include a link to your event page in your blog post. Make sure to include great imagery and video if possible in your blog content. People just skim through your content and don't read it all, and an image is a great way of stopping people in their tracks and getting them to read the parts of the blog post that are relevant to them. So why use email marketing? Well, despite all the talk about social media, email marketing is still an excellent way of getting visitors to your event. Now, don't ignore social media, but also consider email marketing. If you have an email list already, this is a ready-made audience you can use to encourage people to sign up to your event. It's one of the most powerful ways of convincing your existing audience to take action. You need to plan out what emails you're going to send before, during, and after the event. Before the event, you are trying to convince them to sign up, or if they've signed up already, you are sending emails to make sure they turn up. If it's a multi-day event, you may want to send an email to your list telling them how amazing the event is so far, and this may convince them to come to the next day of the event. Now, you're going to be very busy at the event, so make sure to give someone the task of sending an email to your email list. After the event, you may want to follow up with attendees to get their feedback and testimonials. Even if the event is free, it's still worthwhile asking people to give their email on the event page. You can then follow up to make sure they go to the event, and also you can market to them again next year and the year after and the year after that. Think about the different types of emails you can send to your audience and make sure to plan this out. So here are some examples. Invitation. An invitation email is inviting people to your event. For example, imagine if you emailed your list before you launched your event and you said that as a member of your community, they have the opportunity to sign up to the event before anyone else. And because they sign up, they get VIP privileges. For example, they get notified before anyone else of classes you're running at the event. Or maybe it's a paid event and you invite them to avail of an early bird offer. Confirmation. When someone signs up to your event, you want to automatically send them a confirmation email with details of the event. If you're using event software, you can automatically set this up so they get details, and also they generally provide an option for the person to add this event to their calendar. Follow up. This is a range of emails to people that didn't open previous emails or opened the email but didn't register. You might follow up with details of what's happening at the event, information on how many people are excited about going to the event, or maybe information about influential people that will be at the event. Reminder. How often have you forgotten about an event you registered for? A reminder email typically goes to your registered event attendees a day before the event. It's just a little nudge to make sure they turn up. Post-event. This is a follow-up email to attendees. You could send them a survey to find out what they enjoyed or didn't enjoy and capture some great testimonials. So that's a range of different types of emails you should be sending to your audience. So plan this out well in advance. Now, if you're looking for a promotion angle for emails, if it's a paid event, think about early bird offer. So you have an early bird offer where it's a reduced price for a specific date. People always sign up for early bird offers. Or you go to 2 for 1, you provide a discount code. The first number of people get Y, first X people get Y. So for example, the first 50 people that come to the event get a free goodie bag. You know, it's a small thing, but people will sign up and they will attend the event and be early at the event because of this. VIP pass I mentioned earlier on. If it's a free event, you might say limited to X number of people. So there's a restriction on the number of people going to the event. And same as we said before, as a paid event, you might get first X to arrive gets Y, gets something for arriving. So think about a possible promotion angle for your emails. Now here's an example of something you shouldn't do. So here's an event that's over. It says, sorry, we don't have any Bestival tickets on sale at the moment. If your event hasn't been launched yet, allow people to sign up and say, hey, put in your email address and we'll notify you when the event is launched. So keep on building those email subscribers. When the event is launched and when the event is over, then make sure there's still an opportunity for somebody to come and put in their email to be notified when tickets go on sale or when the next event is launched. Always be building your email subscribers. Here's an example, a good example of the Surrey Food Festival 2020. You can see on the right hand side, the top right, it says coming soon, date to be announced, join waiting list. So people can actually join a waiting list for this, which is great rather than coming to a page with no opportunity to put in your email address. Now, for creating social media content for sharing, you need to think about, well, what social channels you're on. It may be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are probably the most popular ones, but there are other channels available as well, depending on the type of event you're running. Then think about the content for you to share and for others to share. So we often think about our content, but what about if we have influencers that are presenting at the event? We want to make it easy for them to share our content. So create content that they can share out to their audience, or sponsors or advertisers. Encourage as much as possible other people to share out the event. That includes, by the way, on the event page, make sure the social sharing icon so somebody can click on a Facebook button and share out details of the event to Facebook. Now, to make it a little bit easier, we categorize the type of content updates that you may want to share across social media into action, audience, event, preparation, and social proof. So let me go through each one of these and give you examples. And this will give you a structure so that when you're creating your content, you can think about content in relation to these categories, so that when you're sharing content, you're not always sharing the same type of content all the time. And also you're going to have a lot more ideas for content as well. Okay, action. So action is where you're saying things like, hey, it's a countdown. There's 7 days before the event is launched, 24 hours to the event, 1 hour to the event. The event is on. There is still time to book. So you're trying to encourage people to book by saying there's a limited time. So we're counting down the time to the event. And you can see the examples here. The Food Fest, 2 weeks to go. Book your tickets now. On the right hand side, only 2 weeks to go to the Food Fest. So this is a particular category of content that you would share on a regular basis, maybe 1 month to go, 2 weeks to go, a week to go, a day to go. And people see these and it's just a reminder to book in. Audience is about sharing people like influencers that are coming to the event, sharing details of your own team that are involved in the event, people presenting at the event, sponsors. So it's all about promoting people. So it's other people at the event. So here Dublin Town is talking about a free family fun, and they're saying the Incredible and the Avengers are coming. So these are influencers that are going to attract an audience. And the other side, we're going, get ready, Kitty Winks, face painting girl is coming to town. So again, it's imagery again of people. It's all about people coming to the events. Then the event itself. So think about just what's coming up at the event and start promoting that. It could be event countdown. It could be about registration. What food is prepared? What drink will be served? What fun will be had? So it's all about what's happening at that event. An example here is Oktoberfest Dublin. It's not just crack you'll find there tonight. You'll also find plenty of Kjol. Join us for George's Dock for Trad Rock. So they're saying come here for music. So that's something that's happening at the event. Preparation is another good one people like to see. People like to see what's going on behind the scenes. What are people doing to prepare for the event? What's good about it? What's bad about it? What's not working well? People like to see the bad things as much as the good things. So do share what's going on behind the event to drag people in to make them feel more involved with that event and more likely to go to it. And social proof, the last type of content is where your event has been mentioned somewhere, like Fáilte Ireland promotes and said it's a great event to go to, or it was in the Irish Independent, or some influencer says something. That's what we mean by social proof. It's other people saying that this is going to be a great event that are generally influencers. So you could say it was featured in the Irish Times. It was ranked by number 5 best event, in Ireland. It's supported by these key influencers. Or another one could be 100 people already booked in. So that's social proof. If 100 people already booked in, maybe I should get booking now. So that's 5 different categories of content to consider. And when you start mapping out this content, you'll have lots and lots of ideas and gives you lots more opportunities to share great content. Now, when you're scheduling your content out, you need to think about how often do I share the content out? Now, we've provided an example here, but this is different depending on the business because some people are very, very engaged across social. So it's easy to share lots of updates related to the event. If you're not active at all on social, you don't want to share everything that you share is just all about the event. So you may want to reduce the amount of times you share, but this just gives you an idea. Like if you're on Twitter and you're sharing 5 or 6 tweets a day, putting in an extra 2 tweets, every day about the event is not too much. A month beforehand, a week beforehand, it might go up to 3 times. A day beforehand, you might send 5 times a day on Twitter, you're promoting an event. But you're thinking about the different categories of content we said to share. So it's not all sharing the same category of content. Facebook, you do less sharing. You might do twice a week and a month before, once a day, a week before, twice a day. Facebook stories, that's where you're sharing regular updates. The story is everything you're doing during a day. So you're free to share lots and lots of updates for Facebook stories and Instagram stories. And of course, we have Instagram in there. You might share regular as well. So have a look at this. It is in the workbook as well, but tailor this based on how active and engaged you are, how big a following you have, and how much you already share already. Okay, we covered a good bit there about what type of content to create, particularly on your website, across email and across the social channels. And I hope you see we've given you a structure that you can look at and maybe adapt to suit yourself. But when you start seeing that structure, you can, and start using it, you will come up with great ideas for lots of different content you can create. One thing to consider is when you're sharing across social media, most people don't see your content, so you need to share it more than once. So by sharing the different categories, that's going to help. But also, if the same piece of content you want to share multiple times, you just have to change the image and maybe change the text a little bit, but share similar content to get more people to see it. Content variety makes it easier to share more about the event without wearing out your audience. So if you're constantly sharing messages saying book now, book now, book now, people will get bored with that. But if you start talking about, influencers that are going to the event, you have, a video about the event that's coming up. So it's not all about book now. You won't wear out the audience nearly as quickly. And failing to plan is planning to fail. Content takes a lot of time, so you do need to prepare well in advance. We talked about it in the previous video about, looking at the target persona of the person you want to target. Who's the person you want to target? Then you want to look at the types of content that's really going to work for that target market. And then later stage, we create the content, but you do need to put a lot of planning in place. So thank you very much, and make sure to check out the workbook we talked about, and make sure to check out the other videos in the series.